Meanwhile, the Republican chairman of the Senate's Armed Services Committee, that's Roger Wicker, is calling for an independent review of the incident. Sources are telling CBS News he's working with the committee's Democratic ranking member to ask the White House for a classified briefing and an expedited Inspector General investigation, among other requests. For more analysis on this, let's bring in Sabrina Singh. She served as Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary during the Biden administration. Good morning to you, Sabrina. I'm curious about your immediate reaction as someone who was always privy to these inside, Pentagon conversations, what you thought when this was first released.
Yeah, so when I was in serving in the Biden administration at the Department of Defense, we wouldn't even confirm an operation had happened, even if there were social media reports percolating online. We wouldn't confirm anything until we knew our pilots were safe, that they were out of any type of zone where they could be hit by anti-aircraft missiles, anything like that. And so the fact that you have the Secretary of Defense, whose sole mission is to really safeguard our men and women in uniform, putting in a unclassified signal text app classified information about the strike, the exact sequencing of when our fighter aircraft were going to take off, when their bombs were going to drop, when you were going to have surveillance aircraft in the air. That is all classified information that should never leave a classified room or classified systems. And so it's deeply concerning that you have the entire national security apparatus on this signal thread going back and forth, and no one's saying, hey, wait a minute, this is actually classified. We need to take this into a different system to talk about these strikes.
What do you make of what was said yesterday on Capitol Hill by Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, where she referenced that meeting in person wasn't possible for all of these principals, and so messaging in this manner was, I guess, easier or more prudent? What do you make of that justification, and that the Signal app came pre-installed on her government device?
So I think what we're seeing from a lot of the folks on that chain is a lot of excuses. Every single person on that Signal thread has access to a classified system at any single time, whether it being remote in their office or they have remote devices that their staff that they can carry with them, or if they have a staffer with them that's, like their security detail, that have it on them at all times. Secretary Austin, when I was with him, had a suite of communications, including secret, top secret, any type of device. So if he was out with his family and something happened, or something happened in the middle of the night, that doesn't mean that you have to go and convene in the Situation Room. You always have access to your classified devices. So there's really no excuse for this. In fact, there is the Situation Room where everyone can convene and meet in person. But if you can't do that, every single person on that text thread, with the exception of the reporter, has an office where they can communicate on different classified systems.
I understand your position is there's absolutely no excuse for this. You were part of the Biden administration, but part of your job was to control, or at least try to manage, the messaging in a time of crisis. Imagine you're back there this morning. Just give me a sense of what you would try to do next here for the Trump administration.
Look, I certainly wouldn't wish that upon myself. This is a bit indefensible. What I would say, if I were there, you automatically need to have the Inspector General of the Department of Defense launch an independent investigation into the secretary, into these text threads, into this texting, chain, to figure out what happened, and to determine, rightfully, that classified information was in fact typed out and put in this text message. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing is, it's going to be painful, but you have to work with Congress, and you have to let Congress also investigate. Congress is the independent check on the executive branch. This is part of their job. So it's important that Congress able to have access to these text messages, be able to interview every single person that was part of this text chain. And then at the end of the day, it's up to Congress and the Inspector General to figure out what's next. In terms of, holding people accountable.
Right. So if it truly did not put lives at risk, as they suggest, oversight would hopefully prove that out. Sabrina Singh, so great to get your insight on this massive story, joining us from Washington this morning. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.